Recap. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1109. Chapter Bryce. The abyssal depths of the sea trembled as a streak of light tore through the darkness like a falling star. Shoo! An elder descended with terrifying speed, his presence crashing down like a collapsing heaven. The surrounding seawater churned violently, and an invisible pressure spread outward, pressing upon all life below like the weight of 1,000 mountains. Breathing became a luxury. Every gasp felt like swallowing iron. A supreme existence of the heavenly body tier had arrived. Ling Han's pupils contracted sharply, his expression turning grave in an instant. Without hesitation, he retreated, his instincts screaming danger. Against such a being, resistance was nothing more than a futile dream. If he did not act immediately, only death awaited him. His thoughts moved faster than lightning. The Black Tower. That was his only refuge. Even if revealing the existence of his spatial god tool would bring unimaginable consequences, survival came first. Secrets meant nothing to the dead. In a flash, he rushed to Shui Yanyu's side, sweeping her into his arms without pause. His figure blurred as he prepared to vanish into the Black Tower. But just as he was about to step into that hidden world, he froze. A second aura had appeared, stronger, far stronger, and eerily familiar. Ling Han's mind trembled. It's Empress Luan Xing. The realization struck him like thunder. In that instant, his decision changed completely. He halted his escape, standing firm in place, his gaze steady yet cautious as he chose to wait. If she was here, then the situation had already shifted beyond his control. Elder Tai Feng, the middle-aged assassin exclaimed, his voice trembling with both shock and delight. Yet he failed to notice the truth before his eyes. The elder he revered, the feared assassin of legend, was in a miserable state. His garments were shredded, soaked through with blood, his entire being reeking of defeat. Before he could react further, a regulation divine chain lashed through the sea like a piercing spear, tearing through the currents with unstoppable force. Pooh! It pierced directly through Elder Tai Feng's shoulder. The chain locked him in place, pinning him like prey caught in the jaws of a predator. Elder Tai Feng's face twisted with pain, but deeper than pain was fear. He had already been hunted relentlessly for an entire day and night. Every technique he possessed, every hidden art he had cultivated, he had used them all. None had worked. Before this empress, resistance was meaningless. He did not even dare to retaliate. Instead, with ruthless decisiveness, he raised his hand like a blade and severed his own shoulder. Blood burst forth in a crimson bloom. Half his shoulder fell away, but the divine chain lost its anchor and dissipated. Freedom. For a fleeting moment, he turned, preparing to flee once more. But the heavens themselves seemed to descend. A vast white hand appeared above him. It was slender, flawless, as smooth as jade, an embodiment of elegance and beauty. Yet to Elder Tai Feng, it was the hand of death itself. Despair flooded his eyes. All his trump cards had been spent. There was nothing left. Boom, the hand fell. The ocean floor shattered under its might as Elder Tai Feng was driven violently into the seabed. When the hand withdrew, his body lay broken. Bones shattered, blood pouring endlessly from his lips. His aura had dimmed to near extinction. Eat Elder Tai Feng! The middle-aged assassin stammered, terror gripping his soul. To him, this elder had been invincible, the greatest assassin alive. No target had ever escaped his grasp. Even those stronger than him had fallen, not through brute force, but through precision and timing. That was the essence of assassination. Strike, kill, disappear. And yet, this legend now lay like a discarded corpse, unable to even rise. The assassin's entire body trembled uncontrollably. Who could have reduced him to such a state? Wang. The sea trembled once more. A domineering aura swept across the battlefield as a figure emerged. Empress Luan Xing. Clad in a radiant imperial robe of brilliant yellow, she stood like a sovereign descended from the heavens. Behind her, a vermilion cloak stretched several meters, drifting through the water with an authority that defied the depths themselves. Her beauty was breathtaking, flawless beyond words, captivating to all who beheld her. Yet within that beauty lay absolute power. Empress Luan Xing, the assassin muttered, his voice barely audible. As one who walked the shadows, he recognized her instantly. One of the three supreme rulers of the joint peace planet, an existence spoken of with awe across the galaxy. He had once dismissed such tales, believed them to be exaggerated. Now, he realized his ignorance. Please spare me, your majesty. Elder Taifeng pleaded, his voice hoarse, filled with desperation. I am willing to submit. I will be your dog, your slave, anything. Dignity? To an assassin? It was worthless compared to life. But Empress Luanxing did not even glance at him. Her eyes were cold, indifferent. She raised her hand once more. The world seemed to fracture. Boom! The palm descended. Elder Taifeng was obliterated, not merely slain, but erased. His body reduced to pulp, his soul annihilated. Even the middle-aged assassin, caught by the faintest ripple of the shockwave, was torn apart instantly, his existence wiped from the world as though he had never been. Silence followed. Ling Han inhaled sharply. So powerful, he thought. This was the first time he had witnessed her true strength unleashed without restraint. It was overwhelming, to the point where even heaven and earth seemed dim in comparison. Empress Luanxing landed lightly upon the seabed, her gaze sweeping across Ling Han and Shui Yanyu. Then, she began walking toward them. Ling Han's heart tightened. Though they belonged to the same empire, the mind of a ruler was unfathomable. Allies could become enemies in the blink of an eye. He remained alert, watching, waiting. Suddenly, her steps faltered. The primal chaos aura surrounding her flickered, becoming unstable. Ling Han's eyes sharpened. A heavenly body tier supreme, stumbling? Understanding dawned instantly. Though she had slain Elder Taifeng, she had paid a price. Given the methods of the Dark Night Hall, she must have been ambushed beforehand, only striking when success was almost guaranteed. Are you all right, Your Majesty? Ling Han asked quickly. But his question was not born of concern. It was a delay, a stalling tactic, because he could see it clearly. Her target was Shui Yanyu. Move aside, Empress Luanxing commanded. With a casual flick of her arm, Ling Han was sent flying to the side, utterly powerless to resist. She reached out, grasped Shui Yanyu's wrist, and leaned forward, her lips parting as she prepared to bite. Ling Han's heart exploded with alarm. Without a single thought, he rushed forward, throwing himself between them. There was no time to weigh consequences, no time for reason. Only one belief echoed within him. If a man could not protect the woman by his side, then what right did he have to call himself a man? Gasp! A sharp pain pierced his neck. His body, refined to the strength of level 4 godly metal, was effortlessly broken through. Empress Luanxing's teeth sank into his flesh. She began to drink. His blood flowed freely, his strength draining with it. His mind blurred. Are you a damn vampire? He thought bitterly, struggling to maintain consciousness. He raised his arm, attempting to push her away. But before the might of a heavenly body tier elite, his resistance was meaningless. His strength faded. Darkness crept in. Meanwhile, Shui Yanyu stood frozen. What she saw before her was utterly unbelievable. Their positions, their posture. It looked as though they were locked in an intimate embrace. As if they were kissing. And worse, Ling Han's hands rested directly upon the Empress's chest, grasping. Her mind went blank. He's finished. He's completely finished. Who in the world did not know? Empress Luanxing was as untouchable as ice, as pure as jade. Countless powerful figures, supreme rulers among them, had admired her. None had ever dared approach her. Yet now, Ling Han had assaulted her. Intentional or not, it didn't matter. When she regained her senses, would he still be alive? At that moment, Shui Yanyu felt a surge of complicated emotion. Anger, helplessness, even resentment. Why did he interfere? Why didn't he just let her take the blood instead? With her immortal vitality, she would have survived, even if gravely weakened. But now, Ling Han would surely die. Her gaze hardened. A decision formed within her heart. Without hesitation, she drew her sword. Her expression turned resolute. With all her strength, she thrust it toward Empress Luanxing's back. The world seemed to narrow into a single breath, a single heartbeat suspended between life and death. In Shui Yanyu's eyes, nothing else mattered anymore. Not the fate of the joint peace planet. Not the endless pursuit that would follow should the Empress fall. Not the countless enemies that would rise like storm clouds across heaven and earth. At this moment, all that existed in her heart was one simple, desperate wish, that Ling Han would live. Even if only one of them could walk away from this place alive. It had to be him. Her resolve solidified like tempered steel. Without hesitation, she thrust her sword forward. Pa! A sharp sound rang out, crisp and absolute. Her blade stopped. No, caught. A single hand had seized it mid-strike. fingers locking around the sword as though it were nothing more than a twig in a storm. Shui Yanyu's breath caught. That hand belonged to Empress Luanxing. The Empress had already raised her head. She had already turned. Though Shui Yanyu could not see her face, she did not need to. The suffocating pressure that erupted in that instant told her everything. Fury. Cold. Imperial fury. Her own subject had dared to strike at her. This was not merely defiance. This was treason that shook the heavens. A boundless killing intent surged outward like a tidal wave, carrying with it the overwhelming majesty of a sovereign who ruled above countless lives. It crushed down upon Shui Yanyu, draining the color from her face in an instant. And yet, she did not flinch. Her gaze softened. She turned her eyes toward Ling Han, filled not with fear, but with tenderness. If they could not live together, then they would die together. But the strike she awaited never came. Seconds stretched into silence. The expected death did not descend. A flicker of confusion crossed her heart. She raised her head slightly, looking once more at the Empress, only to find her shrouded. An aura of primal chaos swirled around Empress Luanxing, obscuring her expression completely, like a veil drawn by the heavens themselves. Nothing could be seen. Nothing could be read. At that moment, Ling Han stirred. His body trembled faintly as consciousness clawed its way back from darkness. The loss of blood had dragged him to the brink, yet his divine sense was like tempered iron, unyielding, resilient. Even at the edge of collapse, he forced himself awake. His hand rose, weak, unsteady, yet unyielding. He grasped the Empress's wrist. "If you want to punish someone," his voice was faint, yet resolute, "then punish me." Though his body was drained to the point of ruin, his tone carried a firmness that refused to bow. Empress Luanxing's anger surged like a raging inferno. She was as pure as untouched snow, as immaculate as flawless jade. And yet, she had been forced to drink the blood of this man. To her, it was as though she had been stained, defiled. Her eyes burned with cold fury, her hand lifted. Behind her, 4 heavenly bodies manifested into existence, each radiating a destructive aura that warped the air itself. Their presence alone was enough to split flesh and shatter bone. Ling Han's skin cracked open under the pressure. Yet, no blood flowed. His veins had already been emptied. The sight was eerie, unnatural. "You repay kindness with hatred," Ling Han said, forcing each word through clenched teeth. "Do you think I don't understand what happened? You were injured. You used my blood to stabilize yourself, perhaps through some secret technique." His eyes burned with clarity. He had seen through it. So what? Empress Luanxing replied coldly. Her original target had been Shui Yanyu, and even then she had never truly intended to kill her. Was there any need for this man to interfere? And yet, because of him, she had been forced into intimate contact, forced to drink his blood. Just recalling it made her skin crawl. Disgust surged through her. "As a ruler," Ling Han pressed on, "you should know how to distinguish between kindness and enmity. If you kill us now, you will become nothing more than a tyrant devoid of reason." "So what if I betray the entire world?" she replied, unmoved. Her voice was as cold as winter frost. "Do you have any last words?" Ling Han cursed inwardly. This woman, she refused to play by any rules. His mind raced, searching desperately for a way out. But the gap between them was like heaven and earth. All schemes seemed futile. "Humph!" Her palm descended, a killing strike aimed directly at his head. In that instant, Ling Han made his decision. If there was no other choice, he would reveal the secret of the Black Tower. He would call upon Small Tower's power and escape, even if it meant becoming a hunted man across the immortal realm. The world was vast. Even the heavens could not cage him forever. But just as the fatal blow was about to fall, it stopped, midway. Empress Luanxing froze, a curse echoed within her thoughts. The Ninth King's will surfaced, unbidden, uncontrollable. It surged into her consciousness, restraining her hand. She could sever it. But the cost would be catastrophic. 1,000,000 years of effort reduced to nothing. Too late, she had acted too slowly. The Ninth King had already developed feelings toward this detestable man, and now, those feelings were interfering with her. Her expression hardened. She tried again. Her hand descended once more. But this time, a sharp pain pierced her heart. So intense that she was forced to stop again. "Damn it!" Her voice echoed inwardly, filled with frustration. Finally, with a flick of her sleeve, she cast Ling Han aside like a discarded object. The events of today she said coldly, her voice like frozen steel. Never happened. Then, she rose into the sky. In the blink of an eye, her figure vanished into the heavens. Silence returned. Ling Han lay there, grimacing. How unreasonable, he muttered. He had already activated a drop-op of indestructible true fluid, but it was useless. His injuries were not wounds of flesh. They were a loss of vitality. The fluid could not restore what had been drained. His face remained pale, like lifeless parchment. Beside him, Shui Yanyu stood in a daze. They were alive? Had they truly escaped death? Master! Little Asura has missed you dearly. A voice rang out. The Asura Demon Emperor appeared, trembling, his face filled with lingering fear. Ling Han didn't even hesitate. Get the hell out of here! He kicked him aside. Useless. When danger loomed, the fellow had hidden without a trace. Now that the storm had passed, he returned with shameless enthusiasm. Of course, Ling Han knew the truth. Even if he had appeared earlier, it would have changed nothing. Still, the frustration needed an outlet. He exhaled slowly. Phew, we survived. What incredible luck. In his mind, he dismissed the entire ordeal as being bitten by a stray dog. The Black Tower held countless medicinal treasures. Recovery was only a matter of time. Shu Yanyu rolled her eyes at him. Do you even realize that you just committed indecent assault against Her Majesty? Ling Han blinked. What? I was nearly drained dry. How could I have done something like that? She snorted. I saw it clearly. Both your hands were grabbing her chest. A trace of jealousy colored her voice. Now that danger had passed, her heart began to stir with other emotions. Ling Han froze. He slowly raised his hands, staring at them in disbelief. These hands had touched the Empress? Fuck! He couldn't remember anything. Not a single sensation. Shui Yanyu huffed. What? Still reminiscing? Men truly could not be trusted. Ling Han laughed weakly, pulling her into his arms. Why are you jealous? I was on the verge of death. How could I have had such thoughts? Her expression softened. A lingering fear passed through her eyes. One of them had assaulted the Empress. The other had tried to assassinate her. Yet, they still lived. A miracle beyond reason, Ling Han chuckled faintly. My wife still feels better. His hands moved instinctively, cupping her soft curves. Warm, real, alive. Pah, pervert, she scolded, her face flushing. She raised her hand, about to pinch him. But suddenly, his body went limp. He collapsed into her lap, falling into a deep, exhausted sleep. All strength had left him. Shu Yanyu's heart trembled. Her anger vanished instantly. She lowered her head, gently embracing him. This man had stood before death for her sake. If not for him, none of this would have happened. A soft smile blossomed on her lips. To meet someone willing to risk everything for her. What more could she ask for? She adjusted her posture, letting his head rest against her chest, giving him the most comfortable place to recover. Yet, one question lingered. Why had the Empress let them go? Her killing intent had been absolute. What force could have stopped her? What in this world could instill hesitation in such a being? There was none. And so, she let the thought fade. Her gaze returned to Ling Han, gentle, affectionate. A quiet warmth spread through her heart as she held him close, letting the world drift away in silence.